Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you, Genesis. Welcome to the first Sunday in 2019. I almost said 2018. You will see here that we have our beautiful newcomer welcome ladies up here at the front, Catherine and Maria. And if you are with us for the very first time this morning, they're here to give you a packet of information about us. And I want to tell you that if you open that up and look inside, you'll find a blue card. If you fill this out and bring it to the membership table, which is right back there, they'll give you a gift, which is this little book called Nourishing Thoughts. And it's a tiny little book of inspirational ideas and thoughts to help you, like this one. My spirit is open and receptive to the divine presence. This presence draws me irresistibly deeper as it surrounds me and fills me. I am permeated by God. I am one. So this little book is free for you if you turn in your blue card this morning. And the only way we can do that is if we can find you. So if you give a wave, Maria or Catherine will come and bring you a packet. So if you're here for the first time, be brave, give us a wave, and they'll come and give that to you. And we promise not to follow you home or in any way annoy you. We'll do our very best. Also, I want to let you know this morning that not only the January, but also the February Science of Mind magazines are available over here from CC at the AV table. They are less than $5, including tax. So we want to let you know that. And for all of us who are here this morning in this new year, are you ready for things to shift? Yes. Are you ready to shift? Yes. Because that is definitely what will happen first. So I want to welcome all of you, and I'm so grateful that you're here in the midst of the pouring rain. You know, this is evidence of the divine power, and it is needed and wanted and welcomed and good, even though it's sometimes inconvenient. So I invite you to just embrace wetness this morning and not worry too much about it as we splash about and get ready for this day. So we have a new theme for the year in Centers for Spiritual Living, and that new theme, is 2019 Spirituality in Action. So throughout the year, the Centers for Spiritual Living are going to be using this theme, which I love because it's like it brings forward the idea of community deepening right here in us, and also extending outward into the larger community in action. So not just in consciousness, but in lived consciousness as well. And so that's our theme for the year. And before I begin, oftentimes a burning bowl is used at the beginning of the year. So actually this morning, this is our burning bowl. And I'm going to invite you in this moment, in this quiet place, in this room that's semi-dark now, to put your hands over your heart and think about what quality of yours caused you the most trouble this past year. What particular quality of yours was the most challenging for you? And humbly consider if you're willing to offer this quality up to the infinite, to have it be transformed or removed or dissolved. And if you are, inwardly thank this quality for its teachings, whether you understand them right now or not. Enter into this sacred atmosphere of forgiveness of yourself for any pain this quality has caused you or others during the past year. And imagine that you could inwardly surrender this quality into this colorful fire, representing the power of the Creator for healing. And let the divine decide for you whatever the form of surrender into the fire might be. Just let it go. And allow yourself to feel enfolded in the presence of infinite love that chose to manifest itself in creation as you. So God's love fills this place, surrounding and enfolding each one of us completely, no matter who we are, no matter where we are on our path of life, no matter what we've been or done in the past. We just surrender right now as much as possible to that love. Now imagine that you could gather up all of this quality within you that has caused you or others pain in the past year, to prepare to surrender it to the fire. And imagine now as you bring your hands forward that you're holding it in your cupped hands. And imagine that it's really now, it's turned to dust in your hands. And with one breath, you could choose to blow it out into the care of God. So if you choose to do so, on the count of 3, I'm going to invite you to give one sharp breath out to blow this away. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. And that is our completion for 2018, because as we're coming into 2019, this month, my theme is all about God, creation, and you. God, creation, and you. What do we really believe about God anyway? What does Science of Mind really teach? What do we really believe about God? A kindergarten teacher was observing her classroom of children while they were drawing, and she would occasionally walk around among the students to see each child's artwork. And she got to one little girl who was diligently drawing away and coloring things in, and she said, "And what are you drawing?" And the little girl replied, "I'm drawing God." And her teacher said, "Well, no one knows what God looks like." And the little girl said, "They will when I'm finished." So the confidence of knowing the infinite, knowing the infinite so well comes through. What we talk about with God in the science of mind is we start with an assumption. So all the religious philosophies of the world start with an assumption. We start with one that is common to many, which is that God is. That something, whatever we want to call it, an infinite intelligence, a presence, a power, an order, a harmony, however we look at that, it exists. So from that idea that God exists, we take teachings that are present in many spiritual traditions that God is all. Omni means all. So God is all there is. Everything that manifests in form is that presence, choosing to manifest it forward in form and experience as people, as grass, as trash, as stars, as the infinite space out there, whatever is in there, choosing to manifest as all of those things. And yet within the manifestations, giving them freedom to be and express their uniqueness, what they were meant to be. And so this omni is omnipresent everywhere, is omnipotent, meaning all-powerful, right? Containing all power, and is omniscient, meaning all-knowing. So we have first, God is omnipresent everywhere. Then we have God as all-powerful, and then as all-knowing. Now, when we believe these things about the infinite, it seems to me that if the infinite exists, if God, we'll use that word for now, if God exists, then God must be boundless and unlimited and whole and one. Otherwise, there are multiple gods competing with each other. And as far as I know, that doesn't seem to be happening. So I believe there is one. And that in order for it to be infinite, it must include everything. Otherwise, it's limited. Are you with me here so far? Yeah. So it can't not include you, otherwise it would be limited. And it is unlimited. If it is omnipotent, then there can't be a separate power of evil that it's competing with. Because where is it going to get its power from? So if there is God, then there is omnipotence, all powerfulness, and there is nothing that can compete with that infinite powerfulness that is everywhere. So if it is omnipotent, meaning also all of us, individually and collectively, then all of that power is also everywhere. And the knowingness of God is not about that idea of, well, let me move on here. The first thing I want to say is these ideas that God is all, that particular idea is not limited to new thought, really. Some religions may think what we believe of as pantheism, like everything that's in form is God, but that actually isn't it, because we believe something bigger than that. We believe that God is all that there is in form and all that there may be beyond form. So Emerson would have referred to that as God being both immanent and transcendent, both in everything and beyond everything, in its entirety, in its wholeness, in its entire beingness, that presence is, so it's not pantheism that we are believing in, it's really panentheism, which is everything we see, everything we know, everything that is, and everything we don't know about, everything that's outside of form, everything that's anything else that is God. That's all there is, period, end of story. Except it isn't really the end of the story. So back at the beginning here, I have this. It says, creation, and God saw that it was good. This is what it says in Genesis. And God saw that it was good. So we go forward. This is what we believe about God in the science of mind. And the question then becomes, well, what does that mean for me? What does it mean to be present everywhere? What does it mean to be all-powerful? What does it mean to be all-knowing? Because when we say all-knowing, it sounds like that Santa Claus thing about making a list and checking it twice, finding out who's naughty and nice, and then you either get the reward or you get the coal. Those are your, you either get rewarded or punished. This is our image of God as Santa Claus. And that's not really how it works. What we're really talking about is a presence that knows every possibility, every moment, the infinite possibilities that could be birthed out of that moment, knowing all of it simultaneously. And we understand now from science, somewhat, if we could actually grasp it, that time and space are interlinked. And they're not static things. They're fluid things, and they are relative to each other. And so time is also not a dependable, measurable thing like we're used to the way that we live our lives as we think of time, which means that in the infinite, which is unlimited by space or time, that knowingness of every possibility extends not only into the present and the future, but also the past, and that all of those timelines and all of those possibilities may exist in multiple universes, alive and happening simultaneously. Because if you're infinite, it could get boring to work with one timeline and one space-time continuum. So why not have an infinite number of those? That would be a lot more fun for an infinite presence. Mind-blowing to us as human beings, but the implications of this are pretty cool, the implications of all this. So I want to share with you all of these different sources that say the same thing, from religious leaders to poets to scientists to mystics, that God is one and God is all. In the book of Tao, it says, the thing that is called Tao is elusive, evasive, elusive, yet latent in all forms. Elusive, evasive, yet latent in it are all objects. Dark and dim, yet latent in it is the life force. And latency is just about something that's there but hasn't been expressed yet, right? The great cosmic mothers authors write in the pagan tradition, true religion is the original umbilical cord that binds our individual selves back to the larger universal source. That source is Great Mother. From the Native American tradition, Carol Bridges writes in the Medicine Woman Guidebook, life is your power. The Creator is you, bringing life into the world through the patterns of your thinking and the images of your mind. In the Bhagavad Gita, I am the self, Arjuna, seated in the heart of every creature. I am the origin, the middle, and the end that all must come to. From Deuteronomy, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. From the book of Psalms, I have said ye are gods, all of you are children of the Most High. And in the book of John, Jesus said to them, is it not so written in your law, I said you are gods? Kabir, who grew up in a family of Muslim weavers before becoming a disciple of a Hindu ascetic. Kabir says, are you looking for me? I'm in the next seat. My shoulder is against yours. When you really look for me, you will see me instantly. You will find me in the tiniest house of time. What is God? He is the breath inside the breath. Bless you. Rumi says, the living word of pure consciousness, you are that. The reflection of the king's face, you are that. There is nothing outside of yourself. Look within. Everything you want is there. You are that. Martin Buber, the great Jewish mystic, wrote, every person born into this world represents something new, something that never existed before, something original and unique. It is the duty of every person to know and consider that he is unique in the world, in his particular character, and that there has never been anyone like him in the world. For if there had been someone like him, there would have been no need for him to be in the world. Every single man is a particularity in this world. And Satya Sai Baba says, the divine permeates everything in the universe. This may not be understood by everyone. Some may not agree that the divine is omnipresent. But whether they can accept this fact or not, the truth is the evidence of the presence of God can be found wherever one turns. Thomas Troward greatly influenced our founder, Ernest Holmes, and he was a mathematician and a scientist as well as a philosopher. He talked about what he called mental science, which our experience, some of what Ernest Holmes put together, came from Thomas Troward. And Thomas Troward was a logical thinker. And so he talked about the infinite this way, and I really love this. He said the infinite must be a unity. You cannot have two infinites, nor can you split the infinite up into fractions. Now, the great fact, he says, to be recognized about a unity is that because it is a single unit, wherever it is at all, the whole of it must be. It is a mathematical necessity that because the originating life principle is infinite, it is a single unit, and consequently, wherever it is at all, the whole of it must be present. But because it is infinite or limitless, it is everywhere, and therefore it follows that the whole of spirit must be present in every point in space at the same time. Spirit is thus omnipresent in its entirety, and it is accordingly logically correct that at every moment of time, all spirit is concentrated at any point in space that we may choose to fix our thought upon. The knowledge of this fact, Troward says, regarding spirit, is the basis of all conscious spiritual operation. Now think of that. What that means is that all of God is where you are. No bit of it is missing or lacking from the very place where you're sitting. And all of the power of God is right where you are. None of it is lacking or distracted or focused anywhere else. And that is just as true of the person sitting next to you. it is just as true of your favorite legislator and your least favorite one. Ernest Holmes says, there's no such thing as a part of God. In an indivisible unity, all of everything is present everywhere all the time. And he also says, but if the consciousness of God, and this is what we are talking about, or the presence of God, or the Spirit, is in everything, if it is unbroken, and if it is undivided, and does not express itself in fragments, but in a totality, it is all everywhere, then it is incarnated in everything, as far as its potential is concerned. But in each thing, it must be incarnated as the idea and the potentiality of that thing in which it is incarnated, in which it is involved, invoking in this involution everything that is going to follow in the presence of its evolution, in the process of its evolution. And so basically, what he means is, I'll say a short version. He said, what you're looking for, you're looking with and looking at. We can't be separate from that which we wish to experience and envision, because it wouldn't be in our consciousness if we were not that, if we were not capable of that, or that wasn't part of our potential. Are you with me here so far? This to me is mind-blowing stuff, really, to look right into the heart of this and see it as something that makes sense. I was in ministerial school. Now, I grew up Catholic. Some of you may have had that background. I grew up Catholic. I grew up with the idea that God was omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. I also grew up with the idea of heaven and hell, of God and the devil, and of purgatory, a place where God is not felt, and in hell, a place where God isn't. But those things are not, they're mutually exclusive. If God is omnipresent, then God is present everywhere, even when we feel like we're in hell. Yes? If God is omnipotent, then no matter how powerless we feel in the moment, there is a power available to us. And no matter what we need to know, there is a knowingness that is available to us. And so in science, Time magazine posted this December 28th, or published this, December 28th, 1992, a little early to post anything. This is an excerpt from an article. One intriguing observation that has bubbled up from physics is that the universe seems to be calibrated for life's existence. If the force of gravity were pushed upward a bit, stars would burn out faster, leaving little time for life to evolve on the planets circling them. If the relative masses of protons and neutrons were changed by a hair, stars might never be born, since the hydrogen they eat wouldn't exist. If at the Big Bang some basic numbers had been jiggled, matter and energy would never have coagulated into galaxies, stars, planets, or any other platforms stable enough for life as we know it. More recent, more careful analysis suggests that even a mildly impressive living molecule is quite unlikely to form randomly. Then where did it come from? Paul Davies, the physicist and writer who has done the most to advance this view, puts it this way. The very fact that the universe is creative and that the laws have permitted complex structures to emerge and develop to the point of consciousness, in other words, that the universe has organized its own self-awareness, is for me powerful evidence that there is something going on behind it all. The impression of design is overwhelming. So before you get nervous about the idea of intelligent design, let me just say this. In my view, evolution is intelligent design. So that doesn't preclude the possibility of every possibility being available to us, nothing withheld. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to experiment with, whatever you want to become, whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to do, it's all there for you. There are consequences attached to those things, but you will learn from that and discover what is true for you and who you are in the process if you're available to it. Does this make sense? You with me here? So The message in this is you are not alone. You are one, but you're connected as one to everything, to everyone, to everything we know, to all that's known, and to all that's unknown. In fact, we may be more connected to what isn't known because it's mostly what exists in the universe. I mean, the known universe is something like 4 to 7%, and I think it's closer to 4. What we know about is 4%. The rest is a mystery. We're still trying to figure it out. So when we exist in this self-awareness, we are not alone, although we are the one. And so the message is that God is where you are and is what you are. And that all God's power is where you are, and you can use it. That's what you're here for. In fact, the truth is, you can't not use it. And I'll talk about that next week when I talk more about creative law. You can't not use it. That's not an option. So you can use it. You can learn how to cooperate with it to use it effectively in positive ways. And finally, whatever you need to know is where you are, and you are welcome to access it. Now, the problem with accessing it is not only that we talk ourselves out of the truth that we access, but also sometimes the truth that we access, that we need to know, we don't like it because we don't understand what it's trying to tell us or where it's trying to take us, and so we actively resist it, even though it is available and we're welcome to access it. When I was in the School of Ministry, one of my favorite teachers was Reverend Virginia Seville. And I've told this story here before, but I think not all of you have heard it maybe, or it's time for a review. She said, people pray to God for guidance. So they say, God, please give me the guidance to know where I should go to live, where I'll be able to give my gifts in the best possible way, and I will be happy and joyful and fulfilled. I will be in my right place with my right people. And the answer comes back, Alaska. And so we pray again, God, please show me. Guide me the way. And the answer comes back again, Alaska. And so we pray again, please give me clarity, God. Help me see through the appearances. And the answer comes back, Alaska. And we wonder why God doesn't answer our prayers. The idea of accessing what we need also requires us to be brave and bold and to step beyond what we already know and to sometimes step forward into something we're not so sure about because it feels like that's the direction we're supposed to go, although we're not sure that's where we want to go, but maybe it's okay. I have said before that my tendency with new things is to resist them until the universe spins me around until I'm dizzy. And then backs me into it, so I don't see it coming. That's why while I'm praying and saying, oh no, not Alaska, backs me into it, and I'm disoriented, and I turn around and find myself in this new opening, this new possibility, this new reality. And I look around and I go, wow, this isn't so bad. This is kind of interesting, actually. And the next thing I know, I'm in it. I'm in it. But I managed to not know I was going there so that I wouldn't scare myself. Does this make sense? And so the guidance is available to us, and we are capable of receiving it. We're capable of understanding it. And also, when we feel particularly dense and resistant and out of clarity, we can also know that because all of the infinite is present where we are, that presence knows exactly how to reveal to us what we need to know in a way that we can catch, in a way that's so tailored to us that we can't possibly miss it. So sometimes that's my prayer. Gently, please gently, and very clearly so that I could not possibly miss it. Show me the guidance that I need. It may take me a while, but the infinite will show me the guidance that I need. It's present for us, even when it's different than what we expected or thought that we wanted. Are you still with me here on this? Okay, so this is important. That doesn't show up very well, does it? Well, I told you what it said. This amphitheater is made of Jerusalem stone. Now, every one of you that came in today got a Jerusalem stone. Is that right? Does anyone not have a Jerusalem stone? If you don't have one, Paula's going to bring you one right now, and you'll also need a pen. So if you need a pen, also give us a wave. Pens will come and find you. The company that does these Jerusalem stones, which come from Hebron in Jerusalem, the man is from Hebron, who owns the company. He was in the military, and he fell in love with a woman from Kansas. And he came to Kansas, and he learned English. I mean, he spoke Israeli, and she spoke English, but they fell in love. They came to know one another. He immigrated to the United States. He learned to speak English. And he started a company that sells these Jerusalem stones for these kinds of projects, indoors and outdoors, all kinds of beautiful spaces. But also, he produces these Jerusalem stones. Now, some years ago, a Unity minister heard his story about these stones, and he asked for these little stones because he saw a passage in the book of Revelation that he interpreted metaphysically. Now, these people who still have hands up either need a stone or a pen. Thank you guys for being persistent. Just hang in there with me while I explain the whole thing. And this is the passage. The passage from the book of Revelation says, "Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it." So as we're stepping into 2019, over the threshold of releasing 2018, we're going to use these stones in just a moment to discover a quality, a name, a direction that is given to us specifically from the mind of God within us for our focus for 2019, each of us individually. It will be personal. You might not understand it, but you will receive something, and you will write that on this stone, which you will keep. This will go home with you to your altar or wherever your sacred place is that you can see it. Is everybody following this? And I want to share a story with you before we do this bit. Oops. At least I think I do. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Once upon a time, there was a cruel and hard-hearted king. He was so unpopular that he was continuously fending off rebellions and attempts on his life. One morning, he awoke and realized how miserable his life was. More than anything, he wished he could change. He called for his royal wizard and asked him for help. The wizard pondered for a moment and then told the king, "I can help you, but you must be prepared to carry out any instructions I give you." "Anything," agreed the king, "that will restore peace to me." "Very well," said the wizard, "wait 3 days and I will give you something to help you." And when 3 days had elapsed, 3, you know, is a sacred metaphysical cycle. When the 3 days had elapsed, the wizard gave the king a very unusual object, a mask. The mask was almost an exact likeness of the face of the king himself, with one very important exception. Instead of the usual frowns and scowling lines, this image was smiling, with smooth and pleasant features. "I can't wear that," argued the king. "It's not really my face, and besides, people will not recognize me. They know I'm not a happy man." "If you want me to help you, you must do as I say, and wear the mask at all times," the wizard reiterated. "Very well, I will." The king began to wear the mask, and something amazing happened. People began to enjoy looking at him and to feel more comfortable in his presence. They began to feel safe with the king and to trust him. And the king responded positively to his subjects' acceptance of him and began to treat them with respect and kindness. Gradually, the unrest in the kingdom diminished and peace was restored within its borders. There remained, however, one place where there was not complete satisfaction: within the heart of the king. He was overjoyed with the changes in his kingdom, but as he had grown, he came to feel hypocritical, for he knew that he was wearing a phony mask. He wrestled with his discomfort and summoned the wizard. I'm very grateful for the changes that have taken place in my kingdom, but I can deceive my people no longer. I'm a charlatan. Please give me permission to remove the mask. As you wish, replied the wizard. Painfully, the king stood in front of the mirror and slowly began to peel away this image that had transformed his life and his kingdom. It was not easy for him, but he knew that he had to do it. Summoning all the courage he could, he opened his eyes to look at his old, scowling face. That face, however, was not the one he saw. What he did see, miraculously, was a beautiful and joyous visage, even more radiant than the one the mask represented. Through his inner transformation, the king's face had actually become a portrait of joy and kindness. The mask had only been a temporary measure to draw out his real inner beauty. The reason I wanted to share that with you is because we can be very hard on ourselves about our traumas and our behavior in the past and our histories and what we have thought we deserved, or the worst qualities we recognized in ourselves. But it's time to open our hearts to the transformative truth of bringing forth our real inner inherent beauty. So I invite you to take the stone and to hold it together in your hands like this, and to bring your hands up near to your heart. And as we close our eyes, I invite you to imagine that there is an actual vibration of the earth taking place in your hands. That this stone represents now a greater nourishment flowing into you from spirit, an increased nourishment made possible by your willingness to forgive yourself, God bless you, to let go of 2018 and to open your heart to all the possibilities and opportunities of the universe that exist for you and within you. And to invite the divine presence, the Creator, the one who knows you and always has, and knows your essence far better than you know yourself. And where's Bodhi? Oh, okay. All right. So taking this and holding it in your hands, in this 1 minute of silence, just imagine that the stone that you're holding, because of your willingness, is manifesting a word or a phrase or a name or a quality for you. That it is etched into the stone in letters of gold. Just give us some strings in the background, could you? And as you see the fire burning in which you have cast that quality you want to release, see arising with the stone a new being. You are that new being holding this stone. New paths are opening up from the spot where you're sitting. New opportunities, new possibilities, new invitations. Feel the divine presence around you and invite now any sacred beings in the unseen who know you and love you to be present around you and with you at this moment. They may be ancestors, spirit guides, animal totems, mysterious energies of love, these God-realized ones who are specifically sent for you and are a part of you and a part of the one. Invite them to whisper in your ears the word, the phrase, the name, the quality or idea. Know that it is imbued in the stone as well. Simply allow your radar to receive it now, to catch it. And now when you know what that is, I invite you to open your eyes, to take your pen and to write it on your stone right now. And while you're doing that, practitioners, as soon as you're finished writing your stone, I want to invite you to encircle the room. Our practitioners spend a lot of years preparing to be licensed to serve in this way. And the very first class on their journey was the foundations class that I'm starting on the 15th. Many of these practitioners have been active practitioners here at Golden Gate for 20 years or more. This collective consciousness surrounds and enfolds you now. So I invite you to take your stone and hold it to your heart, to let the quality be implanted there as we enfold you in a chamber of prayer together, that these qualities are already taking root in you and being manifest. So we enter into that prayer together right now, in this divine moment, in this here and now presence of God. I recognize that we are infilled with the divine presence, that we are led and guided forward into the beingness of this quality, this name, this energy, this phrase, this beingness. This is our new essence, path, identity for this year. And we move toward it with gratitude, understanding it more and more day by day, allowing it to manifest through us, to ease our difficulties, to lift us up in mind and heart and spirit and love, to embolden us with the power of action and service and learning and abundance and gratitude. I am grateful to know that this is the truth of every person in this room and all those our lives touch. And so I release this prayer now, knowing that this is established in the law right here and right now. And so I release this prayer knowing that it is manifesting right here and now. And so it is. And so it is.